So we need to hear about those cases. We want to hear about prolonged stops. So prolonged stops are, let's say you get stopped for passing a red light. You pass the red light, the officer stops you, asks you for your documentation, asks you for your ID, your driver's license, registration, or insurance. And you provide everything. But let's say the officer gives you that ticket within 10 minutes. It should take about, bless you, it should take about 10 minutes for the officer to write that citation, right? But let's say the officer believes that you're here undocumented because of the way that you're dressed, or because you have difficulty speaking English. He might have that question about, oh, this person might be undocumented, or this person might be, an illegal immigrant. So I'm going to call ICE. They call ICE on the spot, and then they try to have you talk to ICE over the phone, or they'll send you over to the ICE office. Now in Tucson, it's really interesting because we're seeing more and more that if people aren't able to understand the officer, and the people will say, I don't understand very well what you're saying or something like that. They'll be like, oh, okay, so you speak Spanish, and the person will say, yeah. And so they're like, okay, we'll give you some translation, and they bring, who knows who they bring? Do you know who they bring to the stop? They bring Border Patrol over to be the translators. So how intimidating is that? Your life is at risk right there, especially if you don't have papers. But what if you do have papers? What could you do? What would you do in that situation? Let's say you're walking down the street and an officer stops you and asks you, hey, where are you going? Where are you going? Huh? Let's say you're going home. But where are you going? What are you doing? You did the description of someone. We got a report. You did the description. Do you have your ID with you? Can I see it? Okay, exactly. So we don't know what our rights are, and I have this thing, this flyer that I'm going to pass out, and what to do in different situations. So in his situation, if you're out on the street, you're walking, an officer shouldn't be questioning you unless they have reasonable suspicions, or in case they're doing an investigation. But if you're walking down the street and an officer asks you about your information, legally, all you have to do is provide your name. My name is Dulce Juarez. You don't have to provide any other information. But if you're driving a car, by law, you have to give your name and your date of birth, okay? So let me go ahead and pass this along. All right, so we're going to pass out these Know Your Rights, and this is about what to do if they stop you in the car, what to do if they stop you with someone in the vehicle, if you're a passenger, if you're on the street, on your bike, in your home, or in jail. And we also have your information about where you can call to report abuses. So you all can help us by calling us and letting us know that you've been stopped or that you have been racially profiled, especially if the officer has said, 1070 is the law and I have to deport you because that's the law. You don't have an ID, I have to take you to ICE. We have heard of many situations and many cases where officers are now starting to tell people that. They're saying, you don't have documents, you're an illegal, we're going to have you deported. And so we want to be able to stop that. But the only way we're going to stop that is if we have the stories and the cases to fight this in the court. Now, it might take a while, but it is possible. And the other thing is to be in solidarity, with your brothers and sisters who are, unfortunately, don't have a process. They don't have an immigration process. It's not as easy as people think to go get in line and go get your documents. It's really hard for people to get their immigration process done. So it's really hard. I have a few minutes. My friend is going to be presenting also about how to start your own radio show. And in the radio show, you can also talk about to the community about what the rights are. And it's so important that you all help us to document these stories. So let's say somebody here gets pulled over and you feel that you've been stopped at a stoplight for more than 10 minutes than what it should have taken for the officer to write that citation. Let's say the officer keeps you there. Let's say the officer keeps you there for 2 hours on the side of the road trying to figure out their immigration status. Do you think that that's fair? It's not fair, and it's not what should happen. It's a violation of the 4th Amendment. Okay, search and seizure and also the 16th Amendment, okay? It's so important that you all know that you have rights in this country, and for you to tell your friends, if you have friends that are undocumented, share this with them. Have conversations about what's happening, how are they feeling, okay? Also, we have this postcard that I'm going to be giving to you all as well, and this is all about understanding what is 1070 and understanding it. So do I have any questions about what I do? And I love my job, by the way. I went to school, and I don't think that there's anything cooler than doing what you love. I really believe that if you follow your passions, you really can make a career out of what you love. And you all should be able to have jobs that you love. Like, I love my job. I'm able to document abuses. I'm able to see what cops are doing out in the streets and keep them accountable. We need to be able to see what's happening in these injustices so that we can stop them and create change. All right? So this postcard is all about understanding what 1070 is, and the number is also on here. So please, if anybody here is stopped for a long time, or anyone here feels like they've been racially profiled or discriminated, where are you going to call? You're going to call us. Yes, you're going to call me. You're going to call the Respeto hotline. If nobody answers, you can leave a voicemail. We'll get back to you. Or you can call me at the office. My name is Dulce Juarez, and we really need your support in making sure that everybody, especially indigenous people, if you have anyone that you feel that your rights have been violated, you need to call us and let us know. And that way, you can be a part of our court cases too, to try to find these reports. All right. Do we have any questions? Anybody? No? ¿Alguna pregunta? Any questions about anything? What's the other question? I have a question. Yeah.
Where is your office located?
So we're located in downtown Phoenix, but we travel all the time. We come and do trainings, and we come and do even more broad trainings that last like 2 hours. It's called Train the Trainer. So we train people on how to know their rights and how to share this information with other people. But we travel across the state. We've been to Flagstaff, to Prescott. We're all up on the northern side. We're in Central Phoenix, and then we try to come down to the southern border to do public education as well. So while our office is based in downtown Phoenix, we travel and make sure that we can distribute this information, which is so important. So yeah. Thank you all for your time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people know this, but the United States has also ratified international law, such as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. It's called the ICER, which means once it's ratified, it's also federal law. And one thing about the ICER is it doesn't distinguish between racially discriminatory acts that are intentional and acts that have an effect of being racially discriminatory. So I think it's important. I know with the ACLU, their international office in Washington, D.C., they work a lot with this, but I think it's important. I'm not sure if you also incorporate that into the workshops that you do here, that indigenous peoples, but all peoples have rights under international law that the United States has ratified and is accountable to, including that Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. And this act is, they could say that it's not intentionally racist, but it is in effect racist, and that's enough to be a violation under the United States' obligations under the convention. So I just would like to suggest that you incorporate that. We have information on that and available like double-sided handouts with simple ways of expressing it. It's important that people understand, especially indigenous peoples, that we have rights under international law that go above the United States law, and the United States can't really get out of that because they ratified these conventions. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Andrea, I think that you should introduce yourself so people know by, that.
Okay, I am Andrea Carmen. I'm the Executive Director of the International Indian Treaty Council. We've been working on taking the rights of indigenous peoples to the United Nations for almost 40 years. We have a copy of the UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples there. I'm Yaqui as well. And I just wanted to add that in because I know on the national level, we're working with the ACLU to make sure that they're also, of course, paying a lot of attention to international rights. For example, I'll give one more example. Even though the United States has not, one of only 2 countries in the world that has not ratified the International Convention on the Rights of the Child, which includes rights of youth, they actually used it last year at the U.S. Supreme Court to back up doing away with the death penalty for young people who maybe commit a crime while they're still a minor, underage. And the U.S. is one of the few countries that even practice this. But they cited international law, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, even though the U.S. hasn't ratified it. I know the ACLU is very excited about that because it's a way we can use these international rights, also here on the ground at the grassroots level. So that's kind of what we focus on. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, I'd love to get a contact with you. If you can give me your card, that would be
Sure.
great. Thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
for sharing that. Yeah.